Province address in Alberton. In an election year, it's inevitable that a SOPA will touch on party machinations. He's here to unpack the content of that address, and we'd like to welcome him now. Premier Makhura, thank you so much for making the time. One of the points you highlighted in your SOPA yesterday was that the province was leading in terms of education and jobs. We have these protests at UJ and Pretoria, and students are unhappy. How do these match?
Good morning, Desiree, and firstly I would like to say happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I imagine I'm going to be getting that the whole morning.
And yes, our province has made significant progress in a number of areas. Yes, we have challenges in others. In education, we have invested a lot of resources to not just to expand the education system, to modernize it and transform and gear it for the digital age. The schools of the future, the use of ICT has been something this province has set on the national agenda. It has also accounted for the improvements, particularly in the education in the townships. One very key thing is that we have turned around the performance of township schools. You would know there was a period where education in our townships at the very beginning of our democracy, everybody was taking their children out of the township schools to the schools in the CBD and suburbs. Yep. We have a reverse now of that.
It goes beyond the provision of infrastructure, though, doesn't it?
Yes. We have also invested hugely in the training of educators. So it's the infrastructure, it's the human resources. But we as a province also are doing quite well in the transformation of the township economy to place the people in the townships who are the majority in this province. The majority of the people still live in the townships. To place them at the center of our efforts to grow this economy. So yesterday I was giving an account of what the situation was. Only 600 million rands from our procurement budget was spent in the townships in 2014, and over the past 5 years we have spent 22 billion rands. And what is that money doing? We're helping to grow the township businesses. They're creating more jobs. They are growing their revenue. But it is also in the townships. When people say that there's no black entrepreneurs, I say go to the townships and encounter their spirit. They need support. They can't be left behind anymore.
But I'm going to take you back to this question.
Yes.
Students are unhappy, especially students who come into this hub in South Africa. Yes. To come and have a better education. They can't have accommodation. How is government assisting them?
Yes, I know, Desiree. The focus student tertiary education, which is the biggest size of the number of institutions in higher education are in our province, and the population is here. You know, it's a national function. The only thing we deal with firstly is we have been spending, since we are currently spending close to 1 billion rands on our bursary scheme of different provincial government departments to educate students in the areas of skills which are a priority for the sectors of our economy. We also are rolling out what we call mega human settlements and post-apartheid cities. We are accommodating in those new developments student villages. That's how far we can go, because we can't sort out some of the big issues that the students are raising. That's a national function.
Yeah.
And I say that so that I can focus on what the critical responsibility of a provincial government is.
It's difficult to separate, though. I mean, I look at a province like Gauteng,
yes,
where a big chunk of the very strategic areas of local government are controlled by the Democratic Alliance and the EFF. And I know there's a line, as you say, there's different responsibilities and different national and provincial and local function. But how difficult does it make it for provincial government to roll out your projects, your strategic projects, or to make decisions when you have this counter-opposition opinion coming in?
I talk about the progress we have made despite what changes have taken place in government. So what I say about education, what I say about the township economy, and we have another program around improving opportunity skills for young people. We call it SEPO 1 million, which has brought in 500,000 young people into economic activity over the past 5 years, and we do a lot of work also in the mainstream economy to turn around the different regions of our province into job creating zones. All that we do, despite what changes take place took place in 2016. Of course, it is important for us to know that we all serve citizens. It doesn't matter which party is in charge of which municipality. The responsibilities of government, once you are elected, you don't serve a party, you serve the citizens. You make sure that you work with other spheres of government to improve the quality of life. And I can say in this province, the quality of life has continued to improve.
And the numbers are there.
Yeah, despite all that. If you ask me how difficult is it to coordinate, it is not an easy job to do, to get people from different parties to see things the same way. With some municipalities it's easier, but in others it's more difficult. And sometimes it's just a question of personalities. But we have to grow up, yes, we have to grow up. We are here not for ourselves, we're not here not for our parties, we're here to serve the citizens of our republic.
Ms. Mandisa Mashingo interjected quite a bit while you were delivering the speech yesterday. What are your thoughts about that kind of interaction?
Well, I've become accustomed to it, and I take it with strides. I deal with that very easily, and the way to deal with it is just to ignore it. I focus on the message I want to communicate to the people of our province. So noise here, noise there, it comes with the job. If you can't take the heat, don't be in the kitchen.
You don't think there's any measure of credibility of in terms of the things that they're complaining about? They were saying that some of the numbers you were stating were not necessarily correct.
The sources of our data are very credible. The Stats SA is the sources of our data. Data on performance of government and service delivery is the Gauteng City Region Observatory Survey, which conducts research amongst citizens. On foreign direct investment, we get FDI intelligence publishes those numbers.
So they're verifiable.
Infrastructure, that work, investment in infrastructure is confirmed by the data from the Auditor General.
Yeah.
The rest is just noise, and I don't have time for that. I just focus on the job I need to do. It doesn't sidetrack me. Noise about this is not true, that is not true. Yeah. I put the numbers there, they can be confirmed independently, verified. The work we do, including going to communities, I often say in the legislature, in the House, that nobody is in communities in Gauteng as often as our provincial government does. We do in Tirisano, we go everywhere. We have been to 80 communities. We have been to engage with the people of our province, and I speak with a great deal of confidence that often what I hear in the House has no relationship and relevance to what communities are raising. Yes.
Listen, you can't take away the huge impact of the township economy project.
Yes.
And you've stated some of the impacts in this conversation.
Yes.
And that's such a long-term project.
Yes.
What are some of the great things that have come out of the township economy project?
I think one of the really interesting things is that the people in our townships are much more excited now, that even those who had abandoned spaza shops, that they generationally down the line, some family members decide we don't want to run a spaza shop anymore, we want to hire it out, are thinking otherwise now.
Yeah.
And I've been persuading people, they hire out the spaza shops or family businesses, especially where they used to run a butcher shop.
But it goes beyond spaza shops. Hotels are being built in the townships.
The guest houses, beautiful 3-4-star guest houses are coming out of our townships. So what I'm saying, Desiree, is that a lot more people in our communities in the townships are coming out there, and we have great stories. The State of the Province address tells some of the stories. There's also manufacturing enterprises that are being formed now in the townships. It's not just services. We also have technology innovations, young people. We have the infrastructure, industrial infrastructure. We have ECAC labs.
Right.
Young people are doing innovations in the townships. So the future is really bright for this township
We're speaking
enterprises.
to the Premier of the Gauteng province, David Makhura, and he said in our conversation that it's not about party, but it's about government. But these intertwine somehow. You used the address to reflect on the past 25 years of ANC rule instead of the standard annual review.
Yes.
And we'll want to find out about that. But let's just take a look at this clip.
The issue related to the submission of evidence, it was done before the panel. So the panel, after assessing all the submissions from all the parties, they made a conclusion that there is no case of sexual harassment in this matter based on evidence that was submitted before the panel. So as it is now, it's a recommendation that the officials of the ANC have also accepted that there was no case of sexual harassment. And as it is now, Comrade Pule Mabe has been cleared of all the charges related to sexual harassment. And those additional points that I've already raised are matters that the panel has recommended that as the ANC we need to consider, and we need to check up our whole human resources development.
Including education on sexual harassment, which you intend to institute within the next 3 months. Was it because there's a misunderstanding of relations between management and employees about certain behavior that would be considered unprofessional? What is the reason for instituting this?
Look, after all, as the employer of choice, we have an obligation to respect the laws of the Republic. And amongst them is that as the employer, we need to protect our workers. And this particular incident is one of its kind, and it has awakened us from our slumberland. And that's why the panel, because it has been established that there is no internal sexual harassment policy at our workplace. And that in itself makes us vulnerable for not protecting, in particular, our female employees. So we have been instructed by the panel that within 90 days we need to ensure that we comply with the rule of law and ensure that all our employees are protected. And it's best that we do it through a policy.
Not protecting your female employees, is it because lines were crossed in this particular case and in others?
Not necessarily, not necessarily.
So when you say you're not protecting your female employees, what is in reference to?
No, it's in reference to the fact that we did not have an internal policy, which were, by law, we are required to ensure that we have it.
It's the acting national spokesperson of the African National Congress, Dakota Lekgote, speaking about the actual spokesperson, a process that he has just come out of. Premier, we found it so difficult, so baffling that the African National Congress does not have a sexual harassment policy.
Well, Desiree, I would like today to just focus on the issues facing the people of our province. I am not the spokesperson of the ANC. I think those issues are well addressed at our national office. These issues are of great concern. The situation that women faces in society, in workplaces, requires to be addressed with conviction, with no hesitation at all.
We hear you, and we will accede to what you're saying. But the address was devoted to the achievements of the African National Congress. How do you divorce the achievements to the areas where they're going wrong?
I think it is very important in this province. The ANC has been the governing party for 25 years, as I said yesterday. We have been able to move Gauteng province from a particular level. The province is very different from what it was in 1994. It will be very difficult. Even our strongest opponents cannot dispute how much change has taken place over the past 25 years. The the key thing from here is the future. So how do we move forward? And in the State of the Province address, I paid a great deal of attention, not just to the achievements.
Historical achievements.
Yes, I say that we must do everything to ensure that these achievements are not rolled back. They are not rolled back by crime, including gender-based violence. They are not rolled back by corruption. They are not rolled back by state dysfunctionality. They are not rolled back by lapses in the system anywhere in our country. I pay attention to this question, that we must ensure that the cost of living does not erode the gains in the standard of living.
In fact, it's not only our concern, it's a concern that the ANC provincial body highlighted in a letter just before the SOPA, that was an open letter that was sent to the president, of which the most pointed point was showing your lament about the state president not mentioning the scrapping of e-tolls during his State of the Nation address. Why was there a need to go this route in terms of, instead of the usual let's address party politics internally line?
I think the ANC decided that it is going to take up the issues of e-tolls also as a party, work with its alliance partners, mobilize various sectors of civil society to raise these issues directly and not just leave the issues to the internal government processes. You would know that the ANC organized a big march to the union buildings, which was hugely supported, and out of those, the ANC is following up out on its own. It tabled a memorandum to the president, and the provincial secretary was mandated by the Provincial Executive Committee, which I chair, to make a follow-up on that as the party. Yeah. But I'm also the premier of the province, so I have other responsibilities. As the premier, I also follow up, and I had a discussion with the president, which I reported in the State of the Province
address. How's the president
address.
Responding to the e-tolls issue?
Let me say that we know the president has many issues he's dealing with on behalf of our nation.
It comes with the job.
It comes with the job. He's got many issues on his table. All he assured me of is that, look, the e-tolls have a huge impact. That is now a matter is recognized beyond dispute. They have a huge impact in increasing the cost of living, especially what we call urban tolling. What is called e-tolls in Gauteng, it's not the general tolling, long distance. We're not talking about long distance tolling, but we're talking here about urban tolling anywhere in the world. So
you can't move around in your locale because you're going to be charged.
Yeah, just to go to the other side of your neighborhood, you got to be paying all the time, and that's what increases the cost of living. There's recognition of that. The next big thing is the president has said it's a matter that I'm dealing with, and we will be able to report as urgently as possible. I have no doubt to doubt our president. He's been doing a great job, as you and I will see. I mean, he's appointed the several institutions now are really going to be focusing on their mandate. So when the president says, Premier, this issue of e-tolls is something that is on my agenda, it is receiving my national attention, and the ANC says that we do need feedback on this matter.
Push for results.
Yes, we do need feedback on this matter. So I think that's very, very important.
It's your last Gauteng SOPA in this administration. Yes. And these addresses are always an opportunity to make promises as well. And you made huge promises yesterday. But realistically, how can you deliver?
Let's first say how the vision for the future is based on the confidence of what we have been able to achieve. Earlier on, I spoke about education. Our educational achievements far exceed any part of the country. Our work with regard to 500,000 young people in the past 5 years have been equipped with the skills to get them actively into the economy, the township economy, as I was saying. But we have also done so much work with big business, industry leaders, sector by sector, that our economy has created 469,000 jobs in 5 years. That's the largest employment creation in any part of the country. Of course, we have a big problem. We need double that number because of a high rate of in-migration and rapid urbanization. And lastly, the confidence about the future derives also from the improvements we have made in governance in this province. We have improved the audit outcomes. You know this issue, every time the Auditor General releases its report about municipalities, provincial and national departments, there's outrage there. In this province, in 5 years, we have drastically increased the number of clean audits in this province. But last year was the year in which we were the only province that got 100% unqualified audits from the Auditor General. Fighting corruption, because corruption is a scourge that is killing the spirit of our people. It's undermining development. It's enriching the few. Have
you not been shocked by the detail that has been coming out of the Zondo Commission?
In fact, the stuff coming out of the Zondo Commission has actually fired us up more to double our efforts in eradicating corruption.
Premier Makhura, just hold on to your thoughts there. We'll come back and talk about corruption, but you're watching the agenda. We're in conversation with the Premier of the Gauteng province, David Makhura. Let's take a break and look at your headlines when we come back.